Guts. Guts is the undisputed king of suffering in anime. His trauma begins at birth, literally crawling out of his mother's hanging corpse. As a child, his adoptive father sold him into physical abuse, shattering his ability to trust. When he finally found a family in the Band of the Hawk, he was betrayed by his closest friend, Griffith. During the eclipse, Guts watched his entire squad get slaughtered by demons. He witnessed the brutal assault of Casca by the man he once admired. To survive, he had to hack off his own arm with a dull blade. Now, he bears the brand of sacrifice. It marks him as a permanent meal for monsters, meaning he can never sleep in peace again. His physical pain is just as constant. The berserker armor keeps him fighting by driving metal spikes into his broken bones to hold them in place. It slowly drains his blood and his senses. Guts doesn't just endure tragedy. He lives it every second of his existence. He is a man kept alive by sheer, localized spite against a cruel universe. Rika Furud. Rika Furud is a victim of a 100-year psychological meat grinder. On the surface, she is a young girl in a quiet village. In reality, she is trapped in a relentless time loop. Rika has lived through the same 2 weeks over 1,000 times. Every single loop ends with her brutal murder. She has watched her closest friends descend into paranoia and slaughter each other in every way imaginable. She has seen her town destroyed by conspiracies and gas leaks repeatedly. Rika remembers every detail of her past deaths. She has been stabbed, disemboweled, and tortured as a ritual sacrifice while fully conscious. The true horror is the mental decay. Imagine being a century-old soul trapped in a child's body, forced to play cute, while waiting for the next inevitable blade. She isn't just fighting a killer, she is fighting the crushing weight of hopelessness. Rika has reached a point where death is no longer a fear, but a boring, agonizing routine. Subaru Natsuki. Subaru Natsuki's suffering is defined by return by death. This ability resets time to a save point every time he dies. On the surface, it sounds like a superpower. In practice, it is a psychological death trap. Subaru has been stabbed, decapitated, frozen, and even eaten alive by a swarm of thousands of tiny rabbits. He feels every ounce of pain during these deaths, and unlike everyone else, he retains the memories. The isolation is what truly breaks him. He is forbidden from telling anyone about his ability. If he tries, a shadowy hand literally squeezes his heart. This means he carries the trauma of watching his friends die hundreds of times, but he must act like everything is normal. He has reached points of complete mental collapse, oscillating between suicidal despair and manic determination. He isn't a warrior. He's an ordinary teenager forced to experience the most gruesome deaths possible until he finds the one timeline where his friends survive. Agony. Agony's existence is a literal, unending funeral pyre. In a frozen wasteland, he and his sister were cursed by unquenchable flames that burn until the target is ash. However, Agony possesses an extreme regeneration ability. His flesh heals faster than the fire can consume it. For 8 straight years, Agony lived in a constant state of burning alive, unable to die or even lose consciousness from the shock. Every breath he takes is filled with the scent of his own charred meat. He eventually learned to control his muscles through the agony, but the flames never went out. He spent decades as a walking skeleton cloaked in fire. The physical pain is secondary to the mental rot of being a god to a cult of desperate people while wanting nothing more than to stop existing. Agony represents the horror of immortality when paired with infinite torture. He is a man who cannot even hug another person without turning them to cinders. Phosphophilite. Phosphophilite, or Phos, represents the ship of Theseus' tragedy in the most agonizing way possible. Initially a fragile, innocent gem, Phos undergoes a series of horrific physical upgrades to become a warrior. Each time Phos loses a limb or a part of their body, those pieces are replaced with foreign materials like gold, platinum, or synthetic pearls. In this universe, a gem's memories are stored in their physical body. By the end of the series, Phos has lost so many original parts that they have literally lost their original personality and memories. The suffering is a slow-motion car crash spanning thousands of years. Phos is betrayed by their mentor, abandoned by their peers, and eventually left alone on a desolate Earth for 10 millennia. During this time, they experience a level of loneliness that borders on cosmic horror. By the time Phos achieves the power they once craved, There is nothing left of the person who wanted it. They are a hollow, crystalline god of sorrow, reconstructed from the literal scraps of their former self. Kaneki Ken. Kaneki Ken's transformation from a shy college student into a cold-blooded killer is a masterclass in psychological breaking. After being turned into a half-ghoul against his will, his true descent begins in the hobby room. For 10 straight days, he was subjected to horrific torture by Yamori. Kaneki had his fingers and toes clipped off with pliers over and over, only for them to regenerate so the process could repeat. To keep his mind active and prevent him from falling into shock, his captor forced him to count backward from 1,000 by sevens. A carnivorous RC-suppressing centipede was even placed inside his ear canal to gnaw at his insides. The physical agony was designed to force Kaneki to embrace his predatory nature. By the time he finally broke, his hair had turned white from the sheer stress, and his original personality was effectively murdered. Hyakimaru. Hyakimaru's life began as a literal sacrifice. Before he was even born, his father traded 48 of his body parts to demons in exchange for political power. Hyakimaru entered the world as a skinless, limbless, and eyeless lump of meat. He survived only because he was fitted with crude wooden prosthetics, including blades for arms and a mask for a face. He spent his entire youth in total sensory deprivation, unable to see, hear, or feel the world around him. The true cruelty of his journey is the reward for his struggle. Every time he kills a demon to reclaim a body part, he experiences a new type of agony. When he gets his skin back, he feels the biting cold and the pain of every scratch for the first time. When he gets his hearing back, the world's noise is deafening and terrifying. He is forced to murder his own family members to become whole, only to realize that having a human body makes him more vulnerable to the emotional suffering he was once shielded from. Diavolo. Diavolo is the only character on this list whose suffering is mathematically infinite. After being defeated by Giorno Giovanna's Gold Experience Requiem, Diavolo was trapped in a death loop. His consciousness was removed from the timeline, forcing him to experience the sensation of dying over and over again for all eternity. The horror lies in the variety and the lack of an ending. In one loop, he is stabbed to death by a stranger in an alley. In the next, he is dissected alive on an operating table while fully conscious. He has been hit by cars, crushed, and drowned. Because he can never reach the truth of his death, he is forced to live in a state of permanent, peaking anxiety. He knows a new, agonizing death is coming, but he never knows when or how. He is a man who has been erased from reality only to be kept alive as a perpetual punching bag for the universe.